basically excommunicated him from Mar-a-Lago. He got rid of him. He got rid of him out of his life when he realized the guy was a total scumbag and what he was doing. But you know who didn't get rid of Epstein? The Democrats. After he was a convicted sex offender, you've got him texting with Democrat members of Congress, telling them what to say. Yeah. So you have Trump responsibly excommunicating Epstein and Democrats cozying up to him. Again, I have a feeling we're going to learn about how deeply tied into the left Epstein really was.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show. There's so much more to talk about regarding this issue. And I'll be honest, I did a couple of interviews on this Epstein thing yesterday, and there are I think they're doing the right thing to release the files, and they should have done it a long time ago. It was not something, I'll be honest with you, that was on my radar, because I looked at it as that justice had been served, that the guy was convicted, and he theoretically commits suicide. Some people do not believe that, but that he had paid the ultimate price for what he did. Now, there's a lot of women left behind that were not dealt with and did not get the problems that they had dealt with, and I understand that too. And as a woman who had an inappropriate thing tried to be done on me when I was a younger woman, I understand the feeling that you have here. Some of us go on and just realize, that it's a bad thing that happens from time to time. Others of us deal with it in different ways. So I think today what will happen if the president, I looked and I don't think the president has already signed it. He did not sign it last night, but he will be signing the bill today. They'll have 30 days to get the records out. Let's understand here, folks, though, that there's a lot of court records. So we might be in a situation where you're not going to have, quote, everything, because there are a lot of court records involved. But I think everything ought to be released. These women need to be believed about what happened. And that anybody, I don't care who it is, anybody who was using these services ought to be held accountable for it. I believe the president's story, that he got convinced about what kind of person Jeffrey Epstein was. He basically excommunicated him from all the circles that he was in, and he got mad about that. Epstein got mad about that. And Epstein tried to interfere in hearings by communicating with Democrats. And I think the funniest thing, and this might even make Logan laugh, the funniest thing that happened last night is Jasmine Crockett gets on the floor of the Senate or of the House, and she says that, we did this quick look, and here's all the Republicans that got money from Jeffrey Epstein. Well, what her staff didn't do, either for Democrats or Republicans, is to verify that the Jeffrey Epstein that's on the list is actually that Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is not an uncommon name.
Right.
Okay, I actually was interviewed by a reporter yesterday named Kayla Epstein. And I said, have you had trouble with it? And she goes, really, I've changed the pronunciation of my name for that. It's Epstein. I said, yeah, but it's kind of like in Young Frankenstein and Frankenstein. Nobody's going to do it. They're going to look at it and they're going to say Epstein.
Right.
But what happened was that she listed off a bunch of people, Democrats and Republicans, that, yes, got donations from Jeffrey Epstein, but it was the wrong Jeffrey Epstein.
Just that's journalism 101 right there. You got to verify your sources.
Do you know what's funny about that too is that it's like knowing enough to be dangerous. Yeah, I got this great idea. I'm going to search Open Secrets, which is probably where she got it from. I'm going to Google the name, and everybody's name that shows up with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm going to put a list out. But they didn't go the next step to say, in some circles, Jeffrey Epstein's not a common name, but it's not an uncommon name. And you might have more than one Jeffrey Epstein.
And that is the case in this.
That is the case in this. So anyway, she showed again that she just wants the gotcha moments. And I also got interviewed by the BBC, as well as got interviewed by NPR yesterday because they have a hard time finding conservatives, and I feel sorry for them. So, it's one of those things. So I did the interviews, and look, I'm not going to throw Marjorie Taylor Greene under the bus. I'm going to take more of a Josh McCoon point of view. I think that the president and Marjorie Taylor Greene have differences of opinion. I do think that she wanted to run for Senate, and she thought she would get his endorsement because she has been so loyal to him over the years, and he is not going to be, he doesn't want to lose again in Georgia. He wants to see who the front runner is before he decides who his endorsement is. He doesn't want his endorsement to make someone the front runner. So she got a little upset about that and then started re-looking at her life and how she has given out her endorsement and her work. And she has had some difficulty with a couple of men that she's partnered up with, trying to get the message out about different things. Matt Gaetz is one of them. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. But I'm not bashing Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's got a difference of opinion. I've got to dig into this a little deeper because I've been getting text messages this morning. Evidently, either the Ossoff campaign or one of the PACs for Ossoff have used some things that I said, Jenny Beth Martin said, and one other conservative, Shelley Winter, about the AI ad that Mike Collins did a couple of weeks ago. And I said on the Georgia Gang, I probably said it here too, is there are plenty of things that John Ossoff has said actually that could be put together in a video where you didn't have to make up things that he didn't say. And I don't like AI. Okay, I take that back. I'm wary of AI, mainly because I use it, but also I'm in a world where there's enough audio of me out there that somebody could present themselves as me and it wouldn't be me. And you'd be sitting there trying to prove it's not you, and it creates a problem. So you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. And, there are a lot of things that are going to be happening here. I did have a couple of text messages that we did not get to yesterday. I want to make sure we get to them today. I want to make sure I get to them. I should have had them pulled up. I'll take a look for them, and we'll get to them just after the break. Let's take a break, and then we'll do a couple of text messages. We'll be back.
Life is a risk. This is Phil Bonelli on the next edition of North Georgia Business Radio. We'll be speaking with Jared Bostrom of Burnett Insurance. Find out how you can minimize risk for your family or your employees Saturday at 3 on WDUN. Always here, always local.
What if my surviving children are in the middle of a divorce? Can I see to it in advance that my assets go to them and only them? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and the answer is yes. There are steps that you need to take now in order to ensure that your assets go where you want them to go. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
Medicare annual enrollment is underway, now through December 7th, which means it's time to visit the CHI agency in Gainesville and Cleveland. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to Medicare. Myself, Chelsea Hogan, and Laura Chastain have teamed up to make sure you get the right Medicare coverage that's right for you. To find out more and set up your appointment, visit thechiagency.com. That's thechiagency.com. Or come see us behind Burger King in Cleveland or in the Rubicon building in Gainesville.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer expires 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, the Hall County Board of Commissioners approved starting the process for removal proceedings of 3 Hall County Planning Commissioners. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Now, Scott, one of the things that I find fascinating about President Trump, and I've been talking about this a lot, is that when people say MAGA is an ideological program, that's not true. President Trump is MAGA, and he is unbelievably pragmatic. He tends to take the 70 position on pretty much every 70-30 issue. And what that means is that he ends up oddly being a moderate in a world of polarized politics. That's what happened in the last election cycle. While the media want to portray him as some sort of wild-eyed fanatic, the reality is that they are significantly more fanatical in their politics than President Trump is in his day-to-day politics.
Yeah, look, he would describe his decision-making as just trying to take the common sense issue. Now, he would also say, and I've asked him before, do you consider yourself to be a conservative? And he said, yeah, but most of the time conservative is common sense, but I'm trying to do the common sense thing on most issues. So in the book, I write about DEI issues. I write about his taking on the transgender cult out there. I write about the straws, the paper straws. I mean, I was in the Oval Office today. He banned the paper straws. I mean, he sort of picks things out that are common sense, 80-20, that annoy people, that are culturally significant. And he is not afraid to go after it. And, the last 4 years under Biden, we were sort of all walking around being forced to accept things that we knew were nonsense, but everybody was too afraid, I guess, out in the institutional world to say it. Trump comes in and takes the wet blanket off of America. And part of his political magic is just saying what everyone else is already thinking, but they're too afraid to do it. He does it for them.
So we got a lot of folks with books out. Scott Jennings' book came out on Tuesday. Brett Baer, who we'll be talking to later on in the program, his new book, To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower, is #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And he is going to be with us at 10 o'clock today. We're looking forward to that. We'll also talk to Sharon Kadan, and I hope I'm saying that right. We met her in Israel. She is a broadcaster in Israel, and we're going to talk a little bit about what some of the challenges are in broadcasting news and being a fair journalist in a place like that. So we're going to talk about that too. But we had a couple of text messages that came in yesterday and said, don't get me wrong, I'm truly grateful for all Donald Trump has done and is doing. Don't ever lose focus on the middle class and what matters to us. And I think that's really what has to happen here between now and the midterms. Of course, yesterday was a challenging day, I think, because the right thing was done with the Epstein files. We, of course, had the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia come to visit for a state visit. It was interesting because it was in a really tiny ballroom that they had to have this dinner. Everybody was sitting on top of each other, but it was a very interesting dinner, and everybody came. This Crown Prince is really trying to bring Saudi Arabia into the 21st century. I might even say into the 20th century, because they were kind of in the 19th century for a long time. I'm impressed with what I've seen with him so far. Doesn't mean I trust him. Doesn't mean I think he is kind of like the enemy of our enemy is our friend. And Saudi Arabia has had a long relationship with the United States with some very clear blips in that relationship, and that is their involvement, or the involvement of Saudi Arabians in 9/11. And then also Osama bin Laden coming out of that kind of Saudi Arabian culture. And so that's been a problem. But, several journalists yesterday, and there was a lot made of some of the comments that President Trump made to journalists who wanted to ask about the Khashoggi murder. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when it happened, I have a good friend that's retired CIA and still does a number of things in that world. I don't know if you ever get out of that world. But one of the things he said to me that I can't share everything he said, but he said to me is that he was not just a journalist, this Khashoggi guy. He was actually a double agent. That does not justify what happened to him, but it does explain a little more why they did what they did when they captured him. And so I'm not justifying it. I'm saying it's a different world, and that if Mr. Khashoggi was actually playing both sides of the fence like that, dangerous things happen when you try to get involved in that world and play both sides of the fence. Again, not justifying it. And they're going to have this question until the day he dies, until the day the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, because his father is got Alzheimer's or something like that. So he is effectively running the country, even though he has not become the Sultan of Saudi Arabia. But he is the Crown Prince or the King of Saudi Arabia. He is the Crown Prince, and he is effectively running things, and he is improving things for people in that region. But the fact of the matter is, the one country that has the best openness for people and the understanding of how things work is Israel. It's Israel. So there's this guy, and I'm going to try to look up and see what he said, because I usually disagree with him 100%, but he really brought the whole Epstein thing into focus, and I'll see if I can find it so we can play it for you. It is a crazy time, and we're going to have to keep working on it. Now, Lee in White County said, would love to see the Democrat socialist in New York try to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu. The Mossad would respond swift, harsh, and sure. Is Mamdani that stupid? You know, he's just talking. Right now he's talking. And later on in the program, I'm going to hear an ad. He's still asking for money. He needs to raise $4 million for his transition. And so he's asking middle-class people in New York, whose biggest issue was affordability, to contribute to his transition. He's already raised $1 million, but he says he needs to raise $4 million. So this is going to be interesting. We got another text message in that said MTG would not win a Senate race. There are too many nonsense statements out there. Whoever texted that is exactly right. And let me tell you what happened between MTG and President Trump. President Trump, because he can do things brazenly or he can do things calmly. But because he was so close to Marjorie Taylor Greene, they did a poll on the Senate race in Georgia. And it showed that she was 20 points behind Jon Ossoff and behind all the other Republicans that are talking about running. He privately, didn't post it on Truth Social, privately sent that poll to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She got mad about it. She got her feelings hurt. And ever since then, she has basically been taking the opposite side of President Trump on everything. And you know what? There's room for President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Republican Party. We have differences of opinion all the time. I have a difference of opinion right now with some people I'm dealing with over at the Mike Collins campaign, that I did not agree with that AI ad that they did. It is what it is. Okay. So we'll see what happens with it. But, and again, the reason why I disagree with the AI ad, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, is there are plenty of things that Jon Ossoff has actually said that we didn't have to make something up. So I think it's a bad thing. So we'll think about that more. Got another text message in. Good morning, Martha. Eric Erickson did an excellent video on YouTube yesterday on MTG with some inside information. I encourage you to check it out. That's from Diana. Yeah, I probably will. Eric and I actually talk a lot. He used to do, before he was doing regular radio, he used to do a weekly segment on my program. And, I've been very good at picking people that do a really great job in radio. I hope I do a great job in radio too, but Herman Cain started out filling in for me, and also Eric Erickson started out as a guest. And actually, WSB called me and said, hey, we'd like to get in touch with Eric Erickson, and I helped him do that. So Eric does a great job, and he, like me, tries not to take the talking points. I get the talking points every day. I get the Democratic ones. I get the Republican ones. And there are people in my business who've been a lot more successful than I have, so I probably shouldn't be telling them what to do. But they're reading the talking points on their show. I know they're reading them because I'd gotten them in the mail myself. And so I think what we got to do is one, we've got to think for ourselves. Two, we can't take everything at face value the first time we hear it, because there's so much misinformation out there because of AI and other things. I'm not going to blame it all on AI, but it's because a lot of people go with things. You know, Chris Matthews is a free agent now and still a liberal, but he was on with Leland Vittert on News Nation, which is a fantastic network, one of the best out there as far as balance is concerned. But he said the truth. If you are a Democratic politician and you are catering your message to MSNBC, you're going to lose a general election. Because MSNBC is about 78% liberal. CNN is about 58% liberal. And this is the Pew Research Center, which is a liberal think tank at the Annenberg School of Journalism. Okay, so you always have to take with a grain of salt that they're going to lean a little to the left. And then Fox News, I know everybody likes to see. I have a friend of mine at church that for some reason, every time we have a conversation, at least 3 times in the conversation, he brings up Fox News and looks at me as if, you know, I just talk about Fox News. Now, we are a Fox News radio affiliate, and I'm very happy of that. I'm happy with the news product that we have and the people that we have. And the reason why I'm happy is Fox News is the most balanced audience in cable news today. And I would argue in broadcast news, too. Many of their shows beat the broadcast news shows, and they're not in every home. It's pretty amazing what they've been able to do. It is roughly 46% conservative, about 30% liberal, and the rest is independent. But they have the most diverse audience of any network out there. And people say, oh, they're just the conservative network. It doesn't make sense, folks. Why would you watch it if you didn't think you were getting what you needed? We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
Hey, Georgia, are you ready for a pop quiz? No, really. It's an easy one. What's the best way to win money? Huh? How about instantly? Because right now you could instantly win $25 just for playing Cash Pop in store. Now through November 23rd, 2,000 winners a week will instantly win $25 just for playing. Just look for the prize alert on your ticket and listen for this sound.
You're a winner!
That means you won $25. So hey, let's get poppin'. It all ends November 23rd, so hurry and play Cash Pop from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Looking for the perfect gifts to give someone this holiday season? Why not give them the gift everyone wants to get? Holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery. They're easy to give, fun to play, and really fun to win. So stop by your favorite retailer and pick up a holiday scratcher today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at galottery.com.
Hi, folks. The biggest Black Friday deals are the ones here at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac, where it's Black Friday all month long. How about new GMC 1500 Denali's up to $15,000 off MSRP, new Chevrolet Suburbans up to $10,000 off MSRP, and Buick Enclaves up to $6,000 off MSRP. And the best deal around is a new 2025 Buick Encore SUV starting at $29,900. Don't let these deals pass you by. Only at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac of Baldwin.
It's WDUN's Bill Main inviting you to join me for Jingle Mingle in downtown Gainesville this Saturday. There'll be treats, music, Santa, and of course, since we are the poultry capital of the world, the lighting of the Christmas chicken. Join the fun in downtown Gainesville. It's Jingle Mingle this Saturday from 4 until 8 and kick off the season with North Georgia's News Talk.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. The prince bearing gifts after a White House welcome with military flyover and a gala dinner. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman pledging $1 trillion in U.S. investment to President Trump.
I appreciate that. That's great. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever done. And in all fairness, if you didn't see potential in the U.S., you wouldn't be doing that.
After last night's White House gala with Elon Musk, Ronaldo, Tim Cook, the prince joins a U.S.-Saudi investment summit today at the Kennedy Center. The Senate follows the House the same day, approving a full release of the Jeffrey Epstein files from the Justice Department, no matter the harm to the implicated. And what about the victims? The GOP's Nancy Mace.
For the women out there like myself who haven't gotten justice,
This is a moment that gives, I hope, all of us hope across the country.
America is listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and the Hall County Board of Commissioners on Tuesday approved a resolution to appoint special counsel to represent the county in drafting and serving written charges against 3 members of their planning commission. The vote started the process Tuesday for removal proceedings against the planners and comes after it was reported that 3 had allegedly violated Georgia's Open Meetings Act.
There's no targeting going on. There's no setup. They done it themselves. There's nothing more to it. You got to take responsibility, and if you don't, then the Board of Commissioners is going to take responsibility for you.
That's Commission Chairman David Gibbs. The vote was 4-1, with the lone dissenter being District 2's Billy Powell. And a woman pedestrian was killed by an Amtrak train in Gainesville Tuesday morning. Gainesville Police Department posted after 8 a.m. that the incident was at the Athens Street rail crossing.
The train conductors advised that they observed the individuals, attempted to alert them, but unfortunately weren't able to stop and struck the individual.
Gainesville Police Lieutenant Kevin Holbrook added that the victim is known to frequent the area and was possibly a part of the unhoused community. Her identity is being withheld until the next of kin are notified and an autopsy is completed. You can find more details and more news online by going to Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN Wednesday forecast.
Good Wednesday morning, North Georgia. The chance of a shower this morning, otherwise mostly cloudy skies and mid-70s for highs. Mostly cloudy early this evening, otherwise partly cloudy skies later tonight with lows in the mid-50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Alto, 58 degrees. In Lawrenceville, 61. And in Gainesville, 60. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It's Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. As our name suggests, we can handle all your tire needs. But some have asked what we mean when we say and more. At Oakwood Tire, we're more than just tires. We also handle general repair. We handle alignments, brakes, AC service, suspension work. Speaking of suspension work, if you're looking to upgrade your ride, we can put tires, wheels, lift kit, anything like that on there. See us at www.oakwoodtire.com. Stop by at 3120 Atlanta Highway, where we're more than just tires.
This is Terrell with the Spa on Green Street. Exciting news. We're thrilled to welcome Dr. Elisa Reynolds and Kim Baldwin to our team of wellness providers. Dr. Elisa brings her passion for functional medicine, chiropractic care, and mind-body wellness healing, helping you to uncover the root causes of imbalance and guiding you towards lasting vitality. Kim combines her expertise in breathwork, mindful awareness, and energy holistic compassionate care. Come meet them both and appreciate a new level of wellness. SpaOnGreenStreet.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Why did Trump do a 180 on the Epstein files? Here is how my sources explained it to me. Reagan Reese here, the White House correspondent for the Daily Caller. So for months, we've heard President Trump call the Epstein files a Democrat hoax. But on Sunday, he posted a Truth Social saying that he wanted House Republicans to vote in favor of a bill that would release the Epstein files. So why did the president make this reversal? So here's how 2 White House officials explained it to me. They told me that the president's chief opposition wasn't to the release of the files themselves, but the opportunity for Democrats like Rep. Ro Khanna to weaponize the issue against him with the help of a Republican that has been a thorn in his side, Thomas Massie. One of the sources went on to add that the president decided to call for Republicans to vote for the bill because he has nothing to hide and he didn't want it to seem like he did. And I really like this quote here from one of my sources. This White House official told me, quote, his opposition had nothing to do with transparency. He believed the Democrats were using the House vote as a weapon against him to distract from the many wins the administration has had, end quote.
So that's the reporter for the Daily Caller, and I think that's a pretty good analysis that Donald Trump will get to the point where he'll just say, okay, how are we going to end this? Because this is distracting from what I'm trying to get done. We've got, the markets have been pretty volatile the last few days, but today they're up because it looks like NVIDIA, its earnings are better than what was expected or will be better. And so it's, people are all concerned that there's going to be an AI bubble. We had the dot-com bubble in 99. We had the housing bubble in 08. And people are afraid there's going to be an AI bubble because there's going to be all this money that's been invested in these companies that 95% of them, NVIDIA is not one of them, but 95% of these AI companies have not turned a profit yet. But people are throwing money at them because they want to be at the front end of something. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. But right now, the markets are up, and that's a good thing because I know a lot of people get nervous. But, folks, let me just say to you out there, we have had about a 10% increase this year in the market. That's considered a bull market. Things are going to get adjusted from time to time. But the best advice that my broker gave me was that a 1.5% shift one way or another. And right now we've had about a 3% shift down from where it was from its high. But it's not anything to worry about because it's going to happen from day to day. And when there's this kind of volatility, it's going to happen. I am not a broker. and this is why I use an expert, because I don't want to be in this every single day. I want somebody who's an expert at it and who can work faster than I can on something like that. I've got a life to live, so we'll keep talking about those issues. But I do find just the pragmatic way that President Trump approaches things, where it gets to the point where he just makes a decision. Now, I heard Scott Bessent talk about something with Brett Baer, and I'm going to ask Brett about it when I get him on there about these Trump accounts. So they're going to try doing this with any baby that's born in the next 3 years in the United States. And I don't know if this is citizen babies or how they're going to do this. I don't know how they're going to do this. They're going to have what's called a Trump account. And they're going to let that be a lesson of how money grows. And I'm not sure if that's going to be just for the 3 years, if it's going to be popular, if it's something to try to get people to have babies. I don't know. So I'm going to ask Brett when we get him on the show at the top of the hour what he thinks about it, because Scott Bessent is a fantastic communicator of this administration. He's probably the best one they've got as far as the financial stuff. And the weakest place we are right now in the Trump administration is the view, and hear my words here, the view of the economy. Because, I have the blessing of we live in a great busy city. And I tell you what, every day I see people walking back and forth through here, getting their coffee, going to work. We have lots of children that come in for field trips. There's an ice cream shop on this square that has the most delicious ice cream you're ever going to have, but it's pricey. And people are lined up a lot of times to buy it. So I see our economy as being very strong, but there are some concerns about the Georgia economy, about the Southeast economy. There's some warning signs that are similar to COVID. And I'm talking about COVID economically, not COVID, the disease. So I think that we've got to be aware of things. So here's the advice I would give to you. You really can't control the markets, okay? Nobody can. But you can control what you spend in your life every day. And I think it's really important that even though maybe you didn't start saving money from your first paycheck like Dale Alexander has invited us to do. I didn't. I was probably around 30 years old before I started taking saving money seriously. So I had gotten a lot of paychecks in that period of time. But where you can, this is what I do. Where you can, go through your monthly expenses because they're so easy to sign up for. I know Logan's going to say amen to me here. They're so easy to sign up for, but then you forget that you have them. I found I had 2 of the same subscriptions in one of my little monthly looks that I do, that I didn't realize that I'd signed up for the same thing twice. And if I had just let it go, it could have been hundreds of dollars.
It just all gets lost in the shuffle nowadays with all the different subscription services you have for just for watching television alone is enough.
So tell me now, are you young enough that did you ever get paper statements or was yours always digital?
Always digital for me.
See,
since I've been working, yeah.
I do the digital and I love it. And I don't pull my paper statements anymore because they give you a benefit if you don't take paper statements. They give you some kind of 5% back or something like that. Depends on who you're dealing with.
Right.
So I do everything online now. But I can see where, when you just have your check go in, you don't think about how much money you pay in taxes. When you have payments just come out of your account, it's very nice and convenient.
It is.
To schedule them and not have to think about them. But you've got to put a little tickle in your calendar that once a month, once every 3 months, whatever you're comfortable with, that you go through, you literally lay eyes on all that stuff and say, oh, do I still want to do this or not? Do you do that? Or does your girlfriend do that?
So I try to, right? Sometimes I do forget, but I try to say, okay, I have a subscription that, rolls over, let's just say the 10th of every month. And I always try to put on my calendar, like, let's just say the 9th or whatever, say, oh, hey, it's due tomorrow. So if I want to keep paying it, great, I can. I just let it roll over. And if not, then I'll go in and cancel the subscription.
And the 3 things I use to kind of keep them all organized is obviously I try to buy all of them through my Apple Pay.
Okay.
Because if I do it through Apple Pay, then there's one tab on your phone that says subscriptions. And you go to those and all your subscriptions are listed there that you paid for with Apple Pay. And they're very like one click to cancel them.
Right, just easy to do.
Very easy. And they send you a little notification. We're about to, take this out.
Right.
Which
and
is
so
good.
That way, like I said, it just kind of reassures it to where if you have second thoughts, you can always cancel it and keep the subscription, or you can go through with it and get rid of it.
I have complicated things, though, since I have cut the cord, which is my fault, because you can do the same thing through Roku. You can buy subscriptions through Roku.
Oh, can you? Okay.
And Roku also has that little tab that says subscriptions, and you go and see what you're paying for within the Roku.
Got it. Okay.
And then, of course, the granddaddy of it, I got rid of my Netflix, but the granddaddy of it was Prime Video. Because I had an Amazon, that Prime, whatever, Amazon Prime, whatever it's called, that supposedly they just had a big settlement made against them because they're supposedly too hard to cancel. I don't know why anybody would cancel Amazon Prime, but because it's made my life so easy. It is worth it. Every dime I spend on Amazon Prime is worth it.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. So, but they also let you know what you have as far as Prime Video or anything like that. Like if you've bought a movie or if you've done any of that kind of stuff.
If you got a show or anything along those lines.
I only buy movies when my grandkids come because I am not going to sign up for a new service. I'll sign up for a new service for me if it has to do with football or something like that. But I will not sign up for a new service for them. I'll just buy the movie for 3 days or
I'm about to say 3 days, rent it out for $2 or $3 and you're good to go.
Yeah, and then they can watch it 20 times, which is what they do at this age.
Just loop it. That's all you got to do.
They watch it like 20 times. But nobody wants to go to the movies. Have you watched that? The movie business is in the tank. I think it's people can't sit in a theater for 3 hours and be unconnected from their phone.
I think that there's so many factors that went into that. Obviously, COVID was a major one, and a lot of people that were not streaming, which I think a lot of people were going that way, but that really kind of turned over. So what's the point? And also, too, I know Disney, for at least some point in time, they would have a movie, let's just say, come out in June. Well, by, let's just say, October, it'd be on the app. You can watch it for free.
So I watched the Downton Abbey movie the other Sunday. Because I got a little notification that it was on my Peacock account now because I get Peacock so my husband can watch golf because a lot of the golf's on Peacock.
Right.
And I watched it and I went, why did I go to the theater and watch that? That was one of the movies that I said, I'm going to the theater.
Right, I'm going in there to watch because sometimes it is better.
And I bought the ticket, which was, I think I got a senior ticket. It was like $12.50. $12.16, something weird like that. I did get popcorn and a drink, so it was like $3 million for me to go see that movie.
You were not kidding. And those are for smalls also.
I know. Do you want the one you can replay and that you can refill and you can mortgage your house? I mean, when I used to take my kids to the movies, I always got the huge popcorn with the refill. I thought it was expensive then.
Yeah, but now it is just,
oh my God,
it's so expensive.
I have to take out a mortgage to go to the movie. That's why I didn't invite anybody to come with me. I just sit by myself in the dark.
You don't have to
eat
take out a
my
loan.
Popcorn and feel guilty about it, but that's all right. We're going to take a break and then we'll be back.
On Wednesday's edition of The Drive at 5, we'll get you home from work with all the day's top headlines. Join us at 5 o'clock here on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Has a lack of joy ever put you at your wit's end? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. Finding joy can be hard these days. Whether struggling with global events or experiencing our own personal battles, many are struggling with having real joy. But here's good news. This time of year, something important comes into focus, and that is the great celebration of God's gift of joy and life in Jesus Christ. A Savior is born to all of us, one who comes to deliver us from despair and give us joy. In every nativity scene and star upon a tree, there is a reminder that God has come in Jesus Christ to walk us through every trial. For many of you, I'm just a voice on the radio. But today I want to make you a promise. If you will trust in God's promise of joy that only comes in Jesus, you will have a peace in these days that surpasses your understanding. And that is wit's end. Come experience joy at Asbury Chapel or learn more at asburychapel.net.
Black Friday sized savings every day this month. Get to the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event at Kraus Family Hyundai in Gainesville. Shop over 1,000 new Hyundais like Tucson or Santa Fe with 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. And every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance. Yes, Hyundai is now in Gainesville, and everything is Black Friday priced. Hurry to KrausFamilyHyundai.com for full details and see us on Atlanta Highway off 985 in Gainesville.
Magical Nights of Lights has returned to Lanier Islands Resort. Let your holiday spirit shine as you drive through 6 miles of dazzling lights where marching toy soldiers sparkle, Santa tailgates in style, and pickleball elves play. Visit holiday headquarters at Game Changer with Clark's Pop-Up Bar or delight in a festive buffet with the big guy himself at Breakfast with Santa. The magic, the memories, the lights you've been waiting for. Magical Nights of Lights at Lanier Islands Resort. Visit LanierIslands.com for reservations.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, the search for a Gainesville native who went missing on Blood Mountain has entered a second week. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Were added after FDR. President Trump faces those term limits. He is not going to be able to run for re-election in 2028. Are you thinking of maybe running?
I'm not thinking about anything because I think we have a president now who's not even been in for a year. We've got a lot that we've got to accomplish. I'm obviously working hard to continue to put weights on the board in Florida, but look at the election results 2 weeks ago for Republicans. That was not good. You know, we've got to do a good job as Republicans, and I think that should be the number one priority. And the way you do well in the midterm elections is to produce positive results. And so I would focus on that. This jockeying and all that, I don't think is productive for us. Get things done for people. You know, we showed in Florida, when I came in, we were a purple state. You know, now we're considered a red state because we produce results and people followed.
So that's Ron DeSantis. And look, folks, let me just be very clear here. This next election is going to be an open election. There will not be an incumbent on either side. And even though the heir apparent may be J.D. Vance, may not be, he still has to win his own election. And so there will be other Republicans that will think that it is their time, and they will run. Ted Cruz is talking about it. You might see Ron DeSantis. You might see Nikki Haley run again. There's a lot of people out there that may run. Everybody thinks the J.D. Vance Rubio ticket would be unbeatable, and it might be, depending on what happens in the next 3 years, because we're looking at we're coming up on only 1 year in this first term. I know a lot's happened in the year, but it's only been 1 year. But I think DeSantis, I mean, if all he does in his political career is turn Florida around the way he did, it'd be great. And I think he may be, a little more interested in staying involved in Florida politics. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. Now, we got this message in, say, Martha, please explain to us why having Amazon Prime is so worth the money. Every time I get on Amazon, they're constantly asking me if I want Prime, and I always say no. Can you please explain to us? Thank you. So I'm just going to give you my personal opinion on this. On the dark side of it, I am told it's hard to cancel. I haven't wanted to cancel it. And there was a big lawsuit that was settled where Amazon has had to pay a bunch of money to people. My experience has been getting to customer service, having them actually call me within moments. Like I'll put in, yes, I want to call about this question, and my phone will be ringing, and it'll be a person that I'm talking to. So my experience has been good. What's great about it is we use it a lot. My husband and I use it a lot. We get packages. I do the subscriptions. They come in. I do. Now they have this option where if you agree to get all your packages at one time during the week, that you get 6% back. So just the 6% back of the purchases that I make over the course of the year makes the Prime worthwhile. And then the Prime Video that comes with it, not the extra you can buy. There's a Prime Video that comes with it. There were a lot of shows on there that I wanted to watch, and then I didn't have to pay to watch them. So that's why I think it's great, but you've got to make your own decision on that. I don't like going to a store because I used to be a buyer, which meant going to malls and stores was part of my job. I had to go do what was called competitive shopping all the time, and it made me to where I hate shopping. I really hate shopping. So, it's the reason why that's why I like it. Now, there are some people that think Amazon has ruined the world. Okay, I get that, and you have to do what you want to shop locally. You don't want to have all this stuff delivered, but it is so wonderful to be able to order something. I never do the overnight delivery because it's more expensive, and but if you're willing to get it in 2 or 3 days, you can get up to 6% back, and get enough packages at enough time. It is a lot of boxes though, and they're doing a better job at doing the boxes and not having as many of those. So way too much time on Amazon. Jeff Bezos doesn't need me, but I do enjoy it, and I think it's worth my time and money. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Now, Logan, we don't have anything new on Charles Hush, right? They did the dog searches yesterday.
Right.
And they're continuing to search, correct?
Yes, that's the latest that we know, is that they are still looking for Charles, who went missing now over a week ago.
So the two things that the family says that they need, because we got a question from Ashley about this. Thank you so much for asking the question. Two things that they need is Mr. Hush was in a khaki kind of vest. It wasn't like a work vest, but it was a khaki blazer and khaki pants. And someone interacted with him at 1:30 at the top of Blood Mountain. They are thinking, with as conversational as he was, that he may have talked to other people. So if you were a person that talked to a guy that didn't look like he was dressed for hiking, somewhere in that noon to 6 range on a week ago Tuesday, they would like to have you contact the Union County Police Department or Sheriff's Department, Union County Sheriff's Department, with any information you might have about the time you spoke with Mr. Hush. Okay? The other thing they're asking for is if you were taking pictures on the trail, you know how we all take pictures while we're walking. If you were taking pictures on the trail, you might not think he's in the picture. You might not think there's anything in the picture worthwhile, but get those pictures over to the Union County Sheriff's Department, and there may be something in them that would be helpful in finding Mr. Hush. Obviously, every day that goes by makes it less likely that you're going to have a good outcome, but hopefully you will. Hopefully there's just maybe he's hurt somewhere, and maybe doesn't remember who he is. Who knows? There's a whole series of things that could have happened. But I pray for the family. I pray for everybody in this community. He was a young man, 67. I mean, I'm 66. That's not too old to be going on a hike. And it's a hike he's done many times. And obviously, if he was at 67 thinking about doing the hike, he was in pretty good shape. So those are the things that we heard. And Ashley, thank you for asking the question. And there's a lot of people in this community. I mean, I'm a Rotarian, and the Hush family was part of the group of Gainesvilleans, I like to call them. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just a funny way I talk about people from Gainesville. They started the Rotary Club 103 years ago, and the family's been a part of our Rotary Club for many, many years. So I really, really wish the best for this family. So the two things you can do is if you talk to someone that didn't look like they were dressed with hiking, a 67-year-old male named Charles, let the Union County Sheriff's Department know about what time you talked to him. The second thing is if you have pictures from that Tuesday, and it was Tuesday, right, Logan? A week ago Tuesday. You have pictures from that Tuesday, get them to the Union County Sheriff's Department because there might be evidence of a problem with the trail where he might have slipped off. Maybe him in the picture, so you could timestamp about where he was. So there's a lot of opportunities there. So I look forward to that. And we're going to be talking to Brett Baer next, and I'm going to ask him a lot of questions about the Teddy Roosevelt book. If you have not read his Teddy Roosevelt book, you should. It's called To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. I listened to the book on Audible. That's another perk I get from my Amazon Prime is the Audible. So I listened to the book on Audible in my car, and I loved it. Brett read it, and he did a fantastic job doing that. And so he'll be on, and then we're going to be talking to Sharon Kidan, who is an anchor in Israel, but she's also a veteran. Her children are serving. Her parents serve. We're going to talk to her about what it was like covering October 7th on that day. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
It's bad enough you get wet when your roof leaks, so don't get soaked when it comes to getting it repaired. This is Chris Earls at Georgia Select Roofing, where we have outstanding Google reviews and an A+ BBB rating, because we know roofing and customer service. If it's a new roof, a roof repair, or gutters and downspouts, estimates are free and we offer financing. See us online at georgiaselectroofing.com or call me at 678-316-6899. At Georgia Select Roofing, we have you covered.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
It's already been unanimously approved in the Senate. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. So this morning, when the resolution the House also passed arrives, compelling the Justice Department to release all the files from the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation, senators will send it to President Trump, who used to oppose this push as a Democrat hoax and urged Republicans to support it.
If there's a list of people who were participating in sex trafficking, we want to know who they are and we want to hold them accountable. We want to find justice for the victims.
That's House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, who tells Fox Business he has subpoenaed 2 banks and the U.S. Virgin Islands Attorney General for Epstein's financial records. The Saudi Crown Prince is still in the U.S.
The president attends a business summit with Saudi leaders today at the Kennedy Center here in Washington. That follows yesterday's massive investment commitment from the kingdom for the U.S. According to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, it will approach $1 trillion.
Fox's Doug Luzader.
The U.S. will sell F-35 fighter jets to the Saudis. That further solidifies military ties, and the president has declared the country a major non-NATO ally.
Ukraine is another non-NATO ally, and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll's in Kyiv today for talks as rescue crews keep searching the rubble of apartment buildings blown up in a Russian drone and missile attack that killed at least 25 people. 12 days after a death at sea, a potential murder case in court.
Anna Kepner, 18 years old. On November 7th, her body was found on a Carnival cruise ship in the Caribbean. She was on a cruise with her blended family. It was found wrapped in a blanket, stuffed underneath a bed, found by housekeeping. It was covered up also with life jackets. At this point, there's no cause of death, no charges of murder or anything else. We could see, though, criminal charges against a half-sibling who was also on that cruise. That half-sibling is a minor. We learn about this because the stepmom who was on the cruise is trying to delay a custody fight over a previous divorce.
That's Fox's Steve Harrigan. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and after a leaked investigation found that 3 Hall County Planning Commission members allegedly violated Georgia's Open Meetings Act, the Hall County Board of Commissioners took action Tuesday, approving a resolution by a 4-1 vote to start removal proceedings against planners Chris Braswell, Frank Soseby, and Stan Hunt. District 2 Commissioner Billy Powell was the lone no vote.
Voted the way you saw fit? Was there any other reason for that? No. No comment? Okay.
Next, a hearing will likely be held at the Hall County Government Center, where all evidence the county has against the planners is expected to be made public. A Gainesville man is behind bars without bond following his arrest by Hall County Sheriff's deputies on aggravated child molestation charges. Sheriff's Office spokesman Derek Booth says the deputies picked up 37-year-old Richard Earl Reed of Gainesville at his workplace on Brownsbridge Road Tuesday morning, following their warrant search unit's investigation since August 15th. Reed is accused of committing the offenses against the female victim at his residence on several occasions between 2020 and 2022. The victim disclosed the abuse to a counselor who reported the crimes to HCSO deputies in August. Booth says that Reed knew the victim prior to the crimes. The search for a Gainesville native who went missing while hiking on Blood Mountain has now reached the 2nd week mark, as 67-year-old Charles Hush has hiked the Byron Herbert Reese Trailhead and was last seen Tuesday when he went missing, according to family members. His daughter, Julia Hush, spoke with WDUN's Martha Zoller show Tuesday.
This is a day hike that Dad has done many times, but this one went differently. The challenge is he was not really prepared or dressed for a multi-day excursion in the woods. And so we're sort of racing against hours here.
Now you can hear Hush's full interview and see photos of Charles Hush at Access WDUN. And a Flowery Branch woman faces charges for allegedly financially exploiting her own elderly relative. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins explains.
The Flowery Branch Police Department said the investigation started back in August when they received a fraud report originating from a home on Newberry Point Drive off of G.C. Crow Road. The investigation determined that 47-year-old Virginia Lorraine Parker had been using her 92-year-old relative's information and identity to write herself false checks, take out a life insurance policy, and pay off her personal credit cards.
More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
The chance of a shower this morning, otherwise mostly cloudy skies and mid-70s for highs. Mostly cloudy this evening, otherwise partly cloudy later tonight with lows in the mid-50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Cornelia, 61 degrees, Dawsonville, 60, and in Gainesville, 62. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, I'm Haley Brock, attorney and owner of Kimbrough Law. Not long ago, a person told me that his elderly mother's will was drafted by the lawyer who had handled her divorce years ago. He wanted to know if he should be worried. A lawyer is a lawyer, right? He asked me. Yes, every lawyer learns how to draft a will in law school, but transitioning assets requires more than just good documents. You need good advice. When a will doesn't work as intended, it's often because the person who had the will didn't get the right advice about what to do with each one of their assets. That advice depends on family circumstances. Most people don't realize this. They think they just need a will, and if they just need a will, any lawyer will do. Don't make this mistake. Contact Kimbrough Law at 706-850-6910 or visit kimbroughLaw.net. That's 706-850-6910 or kimbroughlaw.net.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. It's so great to be here today, and I'm so happy to welcome back to the program Bret Baier. He is currently a #1 New York Times bestselling author on his new book, To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. By night, I guess he's a writer. I don't know when you find time to do this, Bret, but welcome back to the program.
Hey, Martha, thanks. Yeah, it is at night. I have this process when this all started. You know, this is the 7th book I've done, the 6th presidential biography, and now I have a blueprint, and I really love it, and it's addictive for me, and I have a great team, a researcher who plants herself in the National Archives and these presidential libraries, and a co-author that we bounce back and forth, but I do write at night after my day job.
So I went back to school in 2016, so I was in my 50s when I went back to school. That was a real experience, but I did it on campus, and I was doing a master's in American politics, and one of the papers I wrote was about presidential communication from Teddy Roosevelt to Trump, because Roosevelt was the guy that started the press conference. I mean, he was the guy that really understood the power of the press, or the first president that really understood the power of the press.
Yeah, he really did. He understood it from an early age, and in pretty much every job that he had some element of reporters along his side, knowing that they were going to document some of the things he was doing. And you could point back to his time as police commissioner in New York City, where he brought a reporter in his overnight jaunts around the city as he was kind of busting up corruption in the New York City Police Department, or his time as when he goes and fights in the Spanish-American War in Cuba. He sees that a bunch of reporters don't have a way to get over to Cuba, and he brings them with the Rough Riders, this group that he's formed, so that the reporters are with him. That's why most of the depictions of the Spanish-American War deal with them, because they had the reporters embedded with them as they charged up San Juan Hill. So he knew the power of the press and used it in his presidency as well.
And another theme I got from your book was that he was underestimated. And in fact, people were like trying to move him to this position or that position, thinking they could get him out of the way. But he never allowed that to keep him from going on the path he thought was the right path. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, he was a guy that the establishment really could not stand. You know, he was stirring the pot in every job that he had. And a lot of times the big machine was trying to say, forget this guy. We got to get him out of this position. Each position, they had to get him out of the position. And, you know, as police commissioner, they say, we got to get him out. As assistant secretary of the Navy, he's a troublemaker. As he comes back as New York governor after his time in the war, the New York machine says, this is a big problem. Where are we going to put him? And they say vice president, you know, and McKinley puts him on the ticket. They win, and McKinley's friend, President McKinley's friend, says, whatever you do, do not let this crazy man take over our country. You cannot die. And 6 months later, McKinley is assassinated, and Teddy Roosevelt is the youngest president in our history at age 42.
And he did amazing things. Your subtitle of this book is Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. You know, why did this draw you so much? Because he really did set us on the path to where we are today.
He really did. So each one of these books, Martha, I did, you know, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and then Reagan, and then FDR, and that was kind of the Cold War, the middle end, and then back to the beginning of the Cold War. Then Ulysses S. Grant. My last book was about George Washington, the Constitutional Convention. Each one of these books looks at a soda straw moment in history that maybe is overlooked or undercovered. And, you know, this soda straw was that Teddy Roosevelt, for all that he did with conservation and with labor fights and with fighting for different battles that he wanted to achieve, his real goal was to have a legacy of, at the turn of the century, making America a strong global power, making the world pay attention to the U.S. And he does that through an effort to stop what is devolving into a world war. Russia and Japan are fighting, and he reaches out to the leaders of both countries and says, I want to host a peace negotiation in the U.S. And he convinces leaders of Russia and Japan to come to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Think about that, in that time, to make that effort. And they go and they send delegations, and he's the guy that sets up the logistics and bounces from delegation to delegation in intense negotiations, and eventually gets them to agree to a peace deal. The war stops, and Teddy gets the Nobel Peace Prize. It was the first time that the world paid attention to America as somebody on the global stage.
You know, you've done a lot of amazing interviews over your career. I know it's a lot of hard work. It's not just being in the right place at the right time, but there's probably some of that too. One of the moments that has stuck with me so much was your interview with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia a few weeks before the October 7th massacre. And you were sitting down with him in Saudi Arabia, and he makes some comment. You get him to say, we're very close to normalizing relationships with Israel. And then, of course, October 7th happens, all that. Was that as big a moment to you when you were doing that interview as it seemed to those of us watching it?
Yeah, so it caught me by surprise because at the time when I sat down with the interview, and I agree, it was one of the bigger interviews. It took me a long time to get that, probably 6 to 8 months to negotiate all of that and get over. And I told them at the beginning, I'm going to ask everything, Khashoggi and 9/11 families and all of that. And I did. And he had answers, which was really interesting. But at that moment, during that week, there was a report, I think it was Reuters, that was saying that the negotiations with normalization between Israel had fallen apart, between Saudi and Israel. And I asked a question based on that news, and he said, no, it's not falling apart. In fact, we're getting closer every day. And I said, how close? And he said, we are getting closer. And the camera cut off, and he said, Brad, when you were talking about that, we are on the finish line of this, and it will change the face of the Middle East. So after I finished that interview in Riyadh, I'm at the airport flying back, and I get a satellite phone call from the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and he says, you need to come interview me tomorrow. And I said, okay, where are you? He was on the sidelines of the General Assembly in the United Nations. So I changed my flight. We flew to New York. I landed at 8:30. I sat down with Bibi Netanyahu at 10:30. And the first question I said, you've seen this interview with the Saudi Crown Prince. What's your response? And he said, in the words of a very knowledgeable man in the Middle East, we are getting closer every day, and it will change the face of the Middle East. And that was 8 days before October 7th. So in retrospect, I think Iran, Hamas, saw how close they were getting. And that was kind of the light switch. I'm sure that attack was planned for a long, long time.
Yeah, they couldn't let it happen.
Couldn't let it happen. And so I think in historical context, I do look back at that as being a big moment. And I do think they're on the cusp, Martha, of getting back to that moment. Yesterday with the Crown Prince at the White House, what has happened in Israel and the ceasefire, and what happened at the United Nations with the Gaza plan that the administration has put through, I think they're on the cusp of doing that Abraham Accords normalization soon.
Yeah, I just got back from my first trip to Israel. I did get stuck in Newark all day a week ago Sunday, coming back, which was, every flight was on it. And it was so funny. We finally got on the last flight to Atlanta that was supposed to get out at 4, but got out at 1:30 in the morning. And there was some guy with a boom box that played Celebrate. And I think that avoided a fist fight because everybody was so tired. Everybody was so tired. And when he cranked the music up, because we thought we were canceled. And then they said, oh, no, we've got a flight crew. And then he played Celebrate, and people are dancing in the gate. And it was, and I said to the guy, I said, you may have avoided a fist fight because people were so frustrated. But anyway, the last thing I want to ask you about, and of course the book is To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. You did this interview last night with Scott Bessent, who's like my favorite cabinet member because he's so boring. He's smart and boring, kind of the way Bill Barr was, And
he lays it out really
he does.
simply, yeah.
So what about these Trump accounts? Was that the first you've ever heard of that?
I knew it was bubbling. I was surprised that he was kind of coming out with it, but it's something that's going to catch on, and we'll lay it out. We'll do a big story on it on Special Report.
So is the idea to get people to have babies and save money? Is that what the idea is?
Exactly. 100%.
That's great.
100%. And the next generation will have, something in the account at the beginning. And it's in the big beautiful bill, and I think that there's, and that's obviously what the president calls it. I think there are a lot of things in there that people will suddenly realize are advantages for them. Middle America, not just corporate success, which is obviously booming in today, but there is this separation between what the family feels at home and what big companies are doing.
No doubt about it.
I think that that's going to come up, and so that was one of the things.
So my kids are 34 to 43, okay? And so my older children, they're on the property ladder. They've got a couple of houses, couple jobs, all that stuff. My youngest child, my oops baby, who's 34, she and her husband, they're not having problems, but they have that feeling that they did everything right, but they have a harder time finding jobs. They've had a harder time buying a house. They haven't bought a house yet. They've saved up a really nice amount of money, but the interest rates have been have been difficult for them. And I see it with these young people that I mentor that are in that kind of late 20s to mid 30s that we got some work to do. Yeah, they feel like they're in limbo. Yeah, so it's real. It's real. Brett Baer, thank you so much. You do such a great job on Special Report. You're a real newsman, and that's what I love about what you do. And it's shown in the success you've had, not only in your books, but in the shows and the people that watch you.
Well, thank you very much, Martha, and thanks for having me on.
We're going to take a break, and he's a dog fan, too, so that makes him great. We'll be back.
Fuel our discussions with your opinions.
We need to talk about common sense here.
We're the station that gives you a voice.
It's my local station.
We're North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, folks. The biggest Black Friday deals are the ones here at Hayes Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Baldwin, where it's Black Friday all month long. How about new 2500 HDs up to $10,000 off MSRP, 2025 Grand Cherokees up to $9,000 off MSRP, and 2025 Jeep Wranglers up to $9,000 off MSRP. Ask about our Black Friday special, the 2025 Jeep Gladiators lease, for only $349 a month plus tax. Don't let these deals pass you by. Stop in and see us at Hayes Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Baldwin.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Magical Nights of Lights is back at Lanier Islands Resort. This season, let your holiday spirit shine as you drive through 6 miles of twinkling lights, from marching toy soldiers to brand new surprises like tailgating Santa and pickleball elves. Turn the magic into memories with overnight packages for the ultimate Christmas experience, featuring breakfast with Santa and elf tuck-ins that bring the wonder of the season to life. The lights are glowing, the joy is calling. It's time to celebrate at Lanier Islands Resort. Visit LanierIslands.com for reservations.
North Georgia Land Trust. Is that what they call it, Brent?
Count, that's it.
35 years of commercial real estate, but I've always wanted to start a new land trust for North Georgia, a place where landowners can create a legacy for their land.
Everybody, we got Brent Hoffman in the studio today, and golly, Pete, this is interesting.
Well, thank you.
And all they have to do is communicate with you, right?
Just maybe go to our website, northgeorgialandtrust.org. Easy to find my phone number. Love to talk to you if you'd like to set aside land for future generations.
Well, tell me how you met Electronic Sales Company.
Paul and I have been a customer of yours for 34 years. It makes my wife feel good, the fact that we have a monitored alarm system, and you guys have done truly a good job.
Hey, folks, and if you're looking for what Brent's been experiencing for 30-plus years, call us at 770-532-3334. Also, we can be found on the website electronicsalesco.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Hall County Commissioners approve a resolution to appoint special counsel to draft and serve written charges against members of the Planning Commission. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Would a $2,000 tariff dividend check going to people be inflationary?
Well, there are a lot of things that are going to happen next year.
Is that one of them?
And that could be one of them. And again, maybe we could persuade Americans to save that, because one of the things that's going to happen next year is the Trump accounts. Every child who was born from January 1st for the next 3 years is going to get a government account that goes into the stock market. So every American child born for the next 3 years, starting January 1st, is going to have that. They can take it out when they're 18. They're going to learn the power of compounding, and there's going to be a lot of financial literacy around that. And I think the reason that we saw kind of the disastrous election in New York is young people don't feel like they have a stake in the economy, so we want to give them a stake in the economy.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's what I was just talking about with talking to Brett Baer about. It is these accounts, and I don't know if it's just going to be for 3 years. Is this another thing we're going to have to fight about in 3 years, so that you're going to have a group of people that are going to have babies in this 3-year period that are going to have this and other people aren't? There's a lot of things to still work out with this. And if you heard Brett talk about it, is they're going to be doing a big story about this, because I think it's a great idea. It's kind of like the idea that George Bush had back in 2003, 4, 5, that you take of the 15% that goes into Social Security. It's 15.35%, I think is what it is. It's 765 times 2 is 15.3. So that's your Medicare and your Social Security tax that you pay in. And I know you're saying, no, Martha, I only pay the 7.65. If you don't think that your employer is taking the 7.65 that he's putting in from money that he might give you in a raise, you're living in a dream world, because the money doesn't come out magically. You know, he's got to come up with that money for the Medicare and the Social Security, the matching amount. And so it comes from somewhere. It does keep wages low, but it does do the thing that you're supposed to do, which is from the time you start working, you invest in your future. But what George Bush said was not to privatize. He got hung with the mainstream media. They were stronger back then, saying it was privatization. What he wanted to do was take 2% of that money, 2%, not of the 7.5%, but 2% of the total, and put that in an account that you could take with you, that would be portable. You couldn't use it. It still stayed with you. It had your name on it, because remember, they ran in 2000 about lock boxes and your name on the accounts. Well, that was never true. Okay, that was never true. Okay, and so what it would have done is had a 2% gift that would be saved and invested throughout their entire life, which you could pass along to family, if you didn't spend it, and it would belong to you. So if you died before you were 65, that money would still belong to your family. He wasn't able to get that through, but it was a good idea because it was a hybrid, because really Social Security was always supposed to be part of a three-legged stool. And you know what about a three-legged stool? If you take one leg away, it all falls down, right? It's not like a four-legged stool that you could do away with one leg and it'll be fine. It was a three-legged stool. It was supposed to be Social Security, which is supposed to be 1/3, your own savings, 1/3, and a pension plan, 1/3. That's what it was designed to be. It was never designed to be something that supported you. It did for people in the 60s. People that started getting Social Security in the 60s and 70s, a lot of times they could live on what they got. So what this 2% that Bush was talking about would have replaced was the pension plan part, because what was happening in the early part of the 2000s, a lot of companies that always had pensions were doing away with them. There are still companies that have pensions, but there's not as many of those companies anymore. So you've got to understand, where all of this comes out and what's happening related to these kinds of ideas. So, we'll see what happens there. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number. It's the M&R Talk and Text line, and we appreciate you being there. But there's so many things that we're going to be talking about related to these things that are happening, okay? There are so many things that are happening related to this. And we'll see what happens to your finances. And right now, the markets are doing better, and you really shouldn't look at it day to day, okay? We had 3 days of bad numbers. Now today's really good. You've got to make sure you have either a broker you trust or somebody that you can look at and be a part of the decision-making for you, okay? Because there's so many things that we need to take care of ourselves. We can't depend on government for everything. And what I'm hoping for in this next wave we've got until the end of January is they pass the 3 bills, and that was in this CR, the 3 appropriations bills. There's 5 more. They're ready to go, and we're going to have Andrew Clyde on tomorrow to talk about that. If by the end of January they can get most of the appropriations bills passed and through the Senate and signed, then the shutdown at the end of January becomes a moot point, and we can get to work, and we can do a budget on regular order. We'll be back.
Hey, Daddy, what's in a crawl space?
That's a good question, Annie. I'm Cody Lovin with Crawl Space Medic. Musty smells, dampness, and sagging insulation means your crawl space or basement might need some attention. Our team quickly finds and fixes moisture problems, updates moisture barriers, and resolves structural issues, ensuring your home stays dry and comfortable. Don't let your crawl space problems affect your comfort, air quality, or property value. Visit crawlspacemedic.com.
A healthy home starts from the ground up.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This week on Friday Game Night, on AM 550, Jackson County hosts Milton. On FM 102.9, North Hall hosts LaGrange. And on 94.5 FM, Gainesville travels to Brunswick. Coverage begins at 6 with a prep tailgate show presented by Conditioned Air Systems on your home of Friday Game Night. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
News, I'm CJ Papa, waiting for the bill that's out through Congress to reach the president's desk for a signature to compel the DOJ to release the Epstein files. At an aviation summit this morning in D.C., officials taking a deeper dive on how the 43-day shutdown affected the airline industry.
Some 50,000 flights were impacted by the government shutdown, affecting millions of passengers. These lawmakers want the FAA to be able to tap into a little-known fund to pay controllers during shutdowns, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has said he's for this kind of legislation, too.
Fox Business' Grady Trimble, your Thanksgiving feast cheaper this year.
The American Farm Bureau Federation's annual supermarket survey finds Thanksgiving dinner for 10 cost about $5.52 per person, down 5% from last year.
Fox's Chris Foster reporting. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Hall County Board of Commissioners approved a resolution Tuesday to appoint special counsel to represent the county to draft and serve written charges against 3 members of their planning commission. The vote started the process for removal proceedings against the planners, and it comes after it was reported that the planners allegedly violated Georgia's Open Meetings Act.
There's no targeting going on. There's no setup. They done it themselves. There's nothing more to it. You got to take responsibility, and if you don't, then the Board of Commissioners is going to take responsibility for you.
That vote was 4-1, with the lone dissenter being District 2's Billy Powell, according to Chairman David Gibbs last night. A Gainesville man being held without bond following his arrest by Hall County Sheriff's deputies on aggravated child molestation charges. 37-year-old Richard Earl Reed was picked up at his workplace on Browns Bridge Road Tuesday morning by the Hall County Sheriff's Office deputies, as the Unit for Warrant Services investigated since August 15th, determining that the offenses occurred against the female victim at Reed's residence between 2020 and 2022. And water levels are a bit lower than normal at Lake Lanier, with the Army Corps of Engineers saying the level is roughly 5 to 6 feet below average for this time of year. And for this reason, lake users are being urged to be cautious because of underwater hazards that are closer to the surface. More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
The chance of a shower this morning, otherwise mostly cloudy skies and mid-70s for highs. Mostly cloudy early this evening, otherwise partly cloudy later tonight with lows in the mid-50s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Bethlehem, already 67 degrees. In Baldwin, 65. And in Gainesville, 66. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Does your office technology slow your team down? Nothing is more frustrating than printers that jam, copiers that won't connect, and service providers that don't follow through. You and your team deserve technology that works. I'm Matt Nick, president of Duplicating Products, and for over 50 years, we've helped North Georgia offices eliminate bottlenecks, reduce downtime, and get reliable support for office technology. Our promise, we do what we say we will do. If you're tired of office equipment headaches, it's time for a change. Visit us today at duplicatingproducts.com.
This is Terrell with the Spa on Green Street. Tara, every year someone asks me what to get the person who has everything.
Easy, Terrell. It's a gift card from the Spa on Green Street.
Exactly. A massage, a facial, or even a full spa day. Our journeys are amazing. They can choose whatever fills their cup.
Beautifully packaged. Simply come into the spa and get your gift card or order online at spaongreenstreet.com.
Where giving the gift of wellness is always in season.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. It's so great to be here today. And joining me right now is Sharon Kidan, who is a journalist and author for Channel 13 News in Israel. And I met her on our first day. At the end of our first day, we had a very long day getting into Israel, but it was so great to see a compatriot doing the same thing that I do. So it was great to have her there. Sharon, welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell folks a little bit about you and kind of your history in Israel.
Okay, I'm born and raised in Israel. Two of my daughters served in the army. I myself have served in the army, coming from a family that my father was a colonel. So we're all very patriots. My ancestors came from East Europe, but we all live here in Israel. I live in Tel Aviv. I started my way in communication and journalism when I was in the IDF. I worked in the IDF spokesman unit and then continued on, loving this field. And for over 20 years or over 25 years, I'm in the media and news. At this point in my life, I work for Ynet, which is the largest news application in Israel, and another news outlet is Channel 13, and I just got off air now as we speak.
Absolutely. I understand. It was, thank you so much for being with us today, because I know it's kind of hard after you've been on a shift, to keep doing everything that you need to do. So I appreciate you being here with us. So I think one of the people, you mentioned that your daughters are serving in the IDF, that you served in the IDF, and that you come from a family, your father served, you come from a family of service. That is a common theme that I think that while we like to in America say that we serve and we talk, we just had Veterans Day and we recognize people, it's a way of life. And the thing that I noticed that I was really pleased with is there's such a strong amount of female leadership, whether it's someone like you or it was other people that we spoke to throughout the week, that there are a lot of very strong women in high leadership positions.
Thank you. I wish there were more. I always feel we have to, progress more. But it's true that the past 2 years of this combat, you've seen more and more women in leadership position in the Army, and more women in even combat units, which was very different from, let's say, in the past history in Israel. These days, you have pilots, you have women in the field, you have women entering Gaza. I guess you do have that also in the U.S. Army, but what differs us is that it's mandatory. All of us serve in the Army. It's not something that you choose. It's something that's part of you. I put aside the ultra-Orthodox. We have this big dispute over their service. But if you look at the main population in Israel, we all serve in the Army. Some serve in, as journalists, but some serve in combat units, and women and men, shoulder to shoulder in the combat. And I think it's changed the whole environment and the whole climate towards women, because once you've seen women functioning so good there. I mean, politics is nothing. Business is nothing compared to this, to being in Gaza. And if you've seen also the hostages that came back, the women, they're so strong. I guess maybe it's a mentality, Israeli mentality of women.
Absolutely. So tell me what your day was like on October 7th, how that day unfolded for you.
Wow. That day started with the sirens that went on, and all of us asked ourselves, what's going on? Because, I'm in the news. I'm familiar with, threats, imminent threats. There was nothing that was supposed to happen that day. It was a holiday. I was home. One of my daughters slept at her boyfriend's. The other one was in Jordan on a trip, and they're both in the Army. And I started calling my colleagues in Ynet News, to ask them what's going on. There's a domestic group of all of us that we communicate there, and everybody's asking what's going on. Our military correspondent said, I'll check. He never came back to us, because then it all started. One of the pictures, the first picture that we see, is a paraglider from the sky, and our southern correspondent said, this is from Ro'i Dan's house. To explain, Ro'i Dan is our cameraman. He lives in Kfar Aza, which is one of the southern cities, one of the southern kibbutzes that was near Gaza. And he shot this paraglider coming down near his house. And then we understood that something really big is going on. It's infiltration. It's not only, sirens and rockets. It's a big thing that you have few thousands of terrorists entering Israel. At that moment, when we saw the paraglider, it was the last picture that Roy Dan shot. So Roy Dan was murdered by terrorists that entered his house. His wife, Smadar, was also shot to death, both of them. He held in his hand his daughter, Abigail. That was her name. If you remember that little one that Biden was holding in his hands in the White House, this is Abigail Edan. She fell from his hands the moment he was shot. She ran to the neighbor's house, the Brodich family, and they opened the door and let her in with her 3 children. The mother, Hagar, took her in with her 3 children. Later on, Hagar, her 3 children, and Abigail were abducted by Hamas terrorists that took them, the Nukhbas took them to Gaza, because the father of the house went to fight, and the mother was taken with the children. Michael and Amalia, her brother and sister, 7 and 9 years old, they were both hiding in the closet while Roy and his wife, Smadar, were shot and Abigail ran away. Michael and Amalia were in the closet hiding for over 14 hours until the IDF and all the rescue forces came and picked them up. They stayed there really quietly, like stories from the Second World War that we hear about. The first few hours they had a phone, they had the cellular working, and they spoke to all the, the services, the rescue services. They couldn't attend them at that point because it was all surrounded by terrorists. So they stayed really quiet in the closet. Today, their uncle and their aunt and uncle are raising them, Abigail and Michael and Amalia. And Roy Dan, we all remember him, who worked for Ynet News. He was a brave journalist that came out to take picture while his house was under threat at that time. So this is my personal story. Later on, of course, I went to the studio as soon as I could, and it days and days and days entails for 2 years that we've been broadcasting, and finally the ceasefire came, and the hostages, the 20 live ones, are back, and all the others that lost their lives in Gaza on October 7th. All of them came back, except in 3 that Hamas is still holding 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the 2 most poignant moments of my trip was we went to the Nova site and we spoke to Remy, the Bedouin police officer who saved 200 people on that day. And he told his story. He reported to work at 6:22 in the morning, and then of course everything started at 6:30, 6:29, and he told that story. And I mean, I had brought a necklace. I had worn this necklace since October 7th of a Star of David with a cross in it. I'm a Christian, and I didn't. I'm 66 years old. I can't go to war, but I could remind people of what was happening and take it as an opportunity to talk to people. And by and large, I got pretty good response. I did get, of course, I had 2 ladies confront me in a ladies' room one time because I had the Star of David with a cross, and asked me why I was wearing it, and asked me why was I defending the Israelis and not the Palestinians. And I said, what I don't understand about all of this is how the Palestinians don't unite with the Israelis to get rid of Hamas. That's what I don't understand. So I've worn this necklace, and I took that necklace and I gave it to him because I was looking for someone to give it to because it meant so much to me. So that was one moment. And then when we went to a kibbutz, Meram Golan, and had a briefing about Syria and Lebanon. And as we were walking down from where we had a meal in the dining room area in this kibbutz, there were pictures on the wall of all the families that live there. And I couldn't help but thinking it could have as easily been this kibbutz as the ones that were hit.
Yeah.
That these families could have been impacted.
Hezbollah is a more imminent threat than Hamas even.
Yes. They wanted all fronts to come through and do what they did. And they weren't able to make that happen. And then, now we've gotten to a place where I think there's some hope now, Sharon. I think we've got some hope.
I truly agree with you. We have some hope. Even if we saw, yesterday in the White House, we saw Mohammed bin Salman, the heir of Saudi Arabia, and we're talking about, maybe normalization with Saudi Arabia and expanding Abraham Accords. For me, I think it's a big future ahead of us. We're looking at Lebanon. I mean, the day we're speaking today, Israel is actually raiding Lebanon because Hezbollah is trying to revive its abilities, its military abilities, but with the support of the United States, trying to maintain the ceasefire in the north. The IDF, the Air Force, the Israeli Air Force is attacking terrorist hubs in Lebanon, but we're still thinking that the Lebanese army is trying to demilitarize Hezbollah and will try to maintain this quiet border. And if we look at Syria and the other trip that was to the White House not long ago, Bashar is a new leader of Syria, and he is bringing a new hope to Syria. He wants to rehabilitate Syria from the Assad regime. And maybe we will have this agreement. It's not going to be normalization. It's not going to be a peace agreement, but it's going to be a no-war zone between Israel and Syria. So this is very hopeful. And if we look at the south, we look at Gaza. I mean, the new resolution in the UN with the 20 steps of President Trump was approved this week. We have a very important week this week, was approved, and maybe the next step, which is the second step of trying to also rehabilitate Gaza, is bringing on forces that will stabilize the area and hopefully will demilitarize Hamas and take over that regime. And I agree with you. If you look at the Palestinian interest, it should be the same as Israelis. No radical Islam should rule in the Middle East.
Sharon Kidon.
That's what we both, I guess, share.
That's right.
Hope. Yes.
Sharon Kidon, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Bill Crane.
On Wednesday's edition of The Drive at 5, we'll get you home from work with all the day's top headlines. Join us at 5 o'clock here on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Christmas is a season of giving. This is Mike Cormier, General Manager of Hardy Chevrolet. I know that giving is a challenge this year. That is why it's more important than ever. Hardy Chevrolet is a drop-off location for the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots program. Please come by and drop off a new unwrapped toy. With the help of local community agencies and churches, Marines will distribute them to needy children throughout our area. Help make this a Merry Christmas for all. And I'd like to extend best wishes of the season from all of us at Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville.
Hey, Georgia, are you ready for a pop quiz? No, really. It's an easy one. What's the best way to win money? Huh? How about instantly? Because right now you could instantly win $25 just for playing Cash Pop in-store. Now through November 23rd, 2,000 winners a week will instantly win $25 just for playing. Just look for the prize alert on your ticket and listen for this sound.
You're a winner!
That means you won $25. So hey, let's get poppin'. It all ends November 23rd, so hurry and play Cash Pop from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Looking for the perfect gifts to give someone this holiday season? Why not give them the gift everyone wants to get? Holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery. They're easy to give, fun to play, and really fun to win. So stop by your favorite retailer and pick up a holiday scratcher today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at galottery.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the costs of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs. Whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited, the point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless. Because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a Flowery Branch woman has been arrested and accused of financially exploiting an elderly relative. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It's been 2 weeks since we won the election. We've been pretty busy.
Rejects the Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani.
Too often, this is a time of just celebration as opposed to preparation. We want to make it both.
A lot of these things are new, but one of them is pretty old, fundraising. But why are we fundraising? Well, we have less than 50 days until we take office, and we have a lot to do. We have to vet the 50,000 resumes we've received. Thank you. We have to keep paying our incredible team. Thank you.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. So, Bill Crane, that is Zoran Mamdani, saying he needs to raise $4 million for his transition so that he can get started as the mayor of New York. I think that's crazy. I mean, I know there's always a transition for a party and that kind of stuff, but it seems like he wasn't very well planned.
City government doesn't shut down. That's more than the governor raised, if I'm remembering correctly, in his first term here in Georgia. But, there's going to be a difference between what Mr. Mamdani says he's going to do in terms of equalizing the boats and all the waters, et cetera, and how he's going to run it. And I have a feeling money flowing his way is going to be a long-term part of the equation.
Amen to that. Listen, so I want to get your thoughts on Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I don't know about you, but I've been getting requests. I did an interview with the BBC. I've done an interview with NPR. I've done interviews all over the country, people asking about it. I mean, if what she says is sincere, I think that she is striking the right tone about her past things that she said, but I just am not sure what the path is.
It's still hard to tell if this is a brand repositioning for some other office, whether here in Georgia or even looking. I mean, I'm not saying she's presidential timber, but I think she thinks she's presidential timber, looking at 2028. But it's definitely effective, and I think you and I have had a chance to discuss before. I met her as a business person.
Right, me too.
And as a radio advertiser. Her family's company's been a long-time WSB radio advertiser, and she used to come to the holiday parties. Poised, articulate, charming, funny. And then this woman got elected to Congress, and I wasn't even sure they were the same person. So what I kind of hope for her, however this goes, is let your constituents, let your voters see more of the business person, the level head, the company that the family has run successfully for 3 generations. And I hope she's sincere about, as she says, putting the knives away and, playing a more civil game of politics. Because I think as a country we need to start heading in that direction. And when you've got polar extremes and both parties pulling us apart, it's really hard to ever reach consensus or get to a place of dialogue.
Well, and it's so funny because my colleague Melita Easters on the Georgia gang, she has done nothing but bash Marjorie Taylor Greene for the last 5 years, and she was like talking about what a great person she was after this one thing. And it is interesting. But when I first met her when she was first running for office, and she was telling me about her business side, I had that same impression, and I said, this is what you ought to show, is the fact you made it in a man's world in a family business. And that's a way to, look at it. And so, she didn't take my advice, which is fine. But I'm hoping
Kelly Loeffler didn't either, but I think it would have served both of them.
Yeah, well. I hope that people will. I hope that this is a real change for her. Now, the other question is about Epstein, and I want to say that I haven't had much. I haven't said much about Epstein files all along the way because while I understood it to be a horrible situation, he was convicted. He is dead, and there's not much else to say about it. But I am to the point now where I just want them all. I want to know every person that was involved, and I don't care whether I liked them, I didn't like them, I voted for them, I didn't vote for them. I want to know who they are.
Well, like Lawrence Summers, the former Treasury Secretary in the Clinton administration, former president of Harvard, was apparently still corresponding with Jeffrey Epstein while he was in prison. And has been called on by several leading Democrats. He's a big Democratic donor to take a step back. He's a professor now at Harvard. And I'm not singling him out specifically other than he's already made a public apology. But I think we will find with Prince Andrew of Great Britain, who's no longer a prince, and other powerful men in industry and politics around the world, as their names become public, their lives are going to change. And I don't think that's inappropriate. They took something away from these young women they will never have again. And the only person so far who has gone to prison besides Jeffrey Epstein, who's deceased, is Ghislaine Maxwell, his kind of right hand, a woman. And I don't think just two people orchestrated that enterprise.
I agree 100%.
For decades long.
I agree 100%. Bill Crane, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate you being flexible.
Take care.
Thank you. We got a couple of text messages that came in that I want to get to before the end of the program. Brian in Monroe said, if we had implemented the Bush plan, many of us would be drawing double in Social Security, and what we do today, according to the financial experts. Due to seniors being so financially illiterate, they crush the plan. Social Security is a classic Ponzi scheme. No company would replace their 401 plan for a Social Security model. That's from Brian in Monroe. And we got a final text message that says Hamas remains because if they were eliminated, Palestinians would have no military or defensive structure to prevent Israel's complete takeover. Well, that is assuming that that would be a bad thing, number one. Number two, they had a structure. They voted Hamas in, and Hamas took it over. Hamas didn't provide it for the people of for the Palestinians. They provided it for their own efforts to destroy Israel. Nothing they did had to do with the people of Palestine or Gaza. Okay, nothing they did was for that purpose. At least when Israel was controlling the area, they had greenhouses, and they had places to live, and they had electricity, and they had all the things there, and all that infrastructure was left, but then immediately destroyed by Hamas. So really, to try to present Hamas, and maybe I'm misreading this, as some kind of helpful person that provided military and defense structure is really a crazy way to look at it, because they were just protecting themselves. They didn't care about the people of Gaza. It's not Israel you have to worry about not caring about the people around them. It is the terrorist organizations, Hamas, Hezbollah, all the other ones there. Those are the ones you have to worry about. And they show it by their actions. It's the Martha